In a recent press briefing by India's Ministry of External Affairs, the Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri stated that Pakistan launched a coordinated drone incursion targeting Indian positions. These strikes took place from Saichen to Ladakh to the Kutch region in Gujarat. According to officials, between 300 and 400 drones, primarily Turkish-made Azizgard Songar models, were deployed. These drones, many fitted with cameras, appeared to be on reconnaissance missions. Around 50 were destroyed by Indian air defence guns and nearly 20 more were neutralised through electronic countermeasures. In a concerning development, India's Ministry of External Affairs revealed that Pakistan kept its civil airspace open during the attack, using civilian airliners as a shield to complicate India's defence response. A senior Air Force officer stated this recklessness endangered innocent passengers on international flights near the border. Despite the provocation, the Indian Air Force exercised restraint, ensuring no harm came to civil aviation traffic. Well, joining us live on the ground is Ashik Mir, a correspondent live in Uri. Ashik, thank you very much for joining us. Away from the report that we have just given, there are reports of sirens where you are. What more can you tell us?
Well, absolutely. It's a war-like situation what we are witnessing since morning here in the Uri sector. As my VJ can show you in visuals how these streets have turned into the ghost town. Right now, my VJ can show you how the situation has turned ugly after the India target 9 terror camps in POK and Pakistan. So far the situation is very much tense and we still are hearing some blast sounds in these particular areas of Uri sector, and so far the Indian army is retaliating. As you can see, my VJ can still show you in the visuals, these shops are closed. These highways, no one is walking here because the people they have been evacuated from this place to the other place like Srinagar and Baramulla and other adjacent areas which are the safe zone for the people who live here in the LOC areas.
Yes.
Over to you.
Yes, Ashik, it of course looks like a complete ghost town. With civilians and locals that you've spoken to, what has been the feeling amongst people living in this region? Well, joining us now to discuss the ongoing situation is Adit Qatari, a foreign affairs expert. Of course, let's go back to this major news that we've had from the Ministry of External Affairs. Last night, 300 to 400 drones fired from Pakistan's army into India. What is your response, firstly, Adit, to that statement?
Hi, thanks for having me, Joshua. So I think, it was unprecedented what we saw last night. The kind of barrage of drones that were flying across from Pakistan into India, and then the way the air defense systems basically came into the defense mode to basically mitigate and neutralize them. These were absolutely unprecedented scenes. We were estimating at that time, the numbers could be anywhere between 50 to 100, but 300 to 400 is the estimated figures, right from Sir Creek up to Siachen. It's not something that we expected, but I think the whole objective of the Pakistani attack was to basically understand how the array system of the Indian defense system was basically placed, and I think that from that perspective their objective is achieved. Now I think the ball truly lies within the Indian side and how they basically retaliate and how they sort of mitigate this, because the Pakistanis are definitely going to attack even furthermore. I think tonight the attacks already started in the Uri and the Rajouri sector as we're having a conversation now. and they are absolutely relentless. The only downside I actually have with this whole attack is it's not being covered in the media a lot, but the whole operations was a very Hamas style kind of an operation where they left the airspace completely untied down. So civil aviation was flying without any warnings, and had India retaliated in a certain way, and had that had some sort of an impact on civil aviation, the global narrative would have been against India. So India did have to work with a lot of circumspection with regards to the neutralization of these of such an attack. But this needs to be taken up much more strongly by United Nations Security Council, and Pakistan needs to be strongly rebutted for this. And I hope that the international community does take cognizance of this. The other aspect is also, the IMF loans, the $1.5 billion that Pakistan is going to get. It's obviously not going to be used to service the needs of the people, but rather it's going to be used for all of the war efforts and directed mostly towards India. So basically, the global money is going to be used for a very nefarious war against India. Josh.
Yes, absolutely. Added, I want to look at some specifics from these drones, most of them unarmed, and it's believed that they may have been used for reconnaissance purposes. What do you think the reason for this is?
Sorry, come again. I lost you there briefly.
Apologies. So we've heard from the MEA that many of these drones were unarmed and could have been used for a reconnaissance mission. Why has Pakistan chosen to do this?
So Pakistan obviously wants to find out about how the defense systems are placed in India, so that when when there is a full scale sort of exchange between the two nations, they know exactly how the defense systems are placed. So if they have to neutralize them using other weaponry, they have the positions of those defense systems. So that's the whole logic behind the reconnaissance mission that was executed last night.
Yes, Adit, if you stay with us, we do have some breaking updates coming in, and fresh tensions flare along the border as debris from a suspected Pakistani missile has been recovered in the Nagrota area of Jammu. The fragments were found after the projectile crashed into the side wall of a residential house, triggering panic in the locality. According to initial reports, no casualties have been reported, but the impact caused minor damage to the structure. A police team has swiftly reached the spot and has secured the debris for forensic and military analysis. Adit, coming back to you. Thank you for staying with us. Of course, this continued provocation that we are seeing, of course, attacks on 36 locations in India from Pakistan, continuing violations along the line of control now with mortars and heavy arms fire. India have been very careful with their retaliation, only retaliatory measures in place, and of course only targeting terrorist infrastructure during Operation Sindoor. Given these further provocations, do you think that the response will be swift and precise from the Indian government and armed forces?
I think the resolve is very certain. It's very clear, and the Indian polity and the military seems to be on the same page, which is basically having absolutely no tolerance for terrorism whatsoever. I think Dr. Jaishankar just had a call with the Norwegian foreign minister, and he sort of articulated himself out there as well, basically stating that there will be no tolerance for terrorism in India any longer. We've as a collective society, as a collective community, we've endured this asymmetrical warfare for way too long without making sure that there is retribution, there is a sort of deterrence that we can get Pakistan to adhere to, and we can buy some peace. Indus Water Treaty was one of them, where we traded water for peace. We gave them the lion's share of water, 80% of India's water. Nowhere in the world you would see that kind of a water treaty. But in the end, we've never been able to achieve peace because Pakistan always has a nefarious design when it comes to vis-a-vis India, which is to balkanize India take a piece of land, basically. So I think the resolve is very clear. If Pakistan does try to be more mischievous and more misadventurous, I think they will be hit pretty much in all of their military installations. I think the resolve from the military perspective was very certain when they went into Bahawalpur, when they went into Sialkot, and they struck them exactly in the heart of mainland Pakistan, which has never been the case since 1971. So after 54 years, if something like this, something of this proportion is taking place, I think Pakistan needs to be a bit more circumspect. The problem with Pakistan is that it is divided into two different societies. One which is the establishment, which is the military establishment, and one which is the civil society run by the polity. The polity and the establishment don't get along. The people somehow seem to provide cover fire to the establishment on the basis of Islamic hegemony, and thereby, they end up giving cover fire to Islamic terrorism. So the point is that unless the people realize where this is taking them to, and where this is leading them to, I don't think there's going to be senses prevailing in Pakistan anytime soon. So it's the civil society which is also part of the problem, Josh.
Absolutely. We have some more breaking news at it, and after Yuri, we're now hearing that heavy artillery exchanges are underway along the line of control in the Degwa area of Poonch. Civilian areas remain on alert as forces respond decisively to the provocation. Adit, coming back to you once more, of course, a continuation of this escalation. You mentioned earlier the Foreign Minister of Norway speaking with Dr. S. Jaishankar. Also comments from David Lammy in the United Kingdom, Foreign Minister there. Also, of course, from the US Secretary of State. Given these clear provocations from Pakistan, aside from any calculated response from the Indian armed forces, what does the global community now need to do? You've mentioned the IMF funds, but what needs to be done now? Not just to condemn the terrorism that has taken place, but also to address the provocations that we're seeing now on a daily basis.
I think the global community in general has a massive blind spot when it comes to the epicenter of terrorism, which is Pakistan. I mean, the fact that you had Osama bin Laden found there, India's had to prove number of times to the global community about how India is basically the first casualty of global terrorism, and that demonstrates how the world is unwilling, completely unflinched when it comes to tackling the problem of this particular problem of terrorism. There is a sense of political correctness as well, because they don't want to be seen Islamophobic, because ultimately all of the terrorism which is being conducted, at least from Pakistan, is in the name of Islam. Josh.
Absolutely, Adit. Thank you ever so much for staying with us there. Of course, the evolving situation of these tensions between India and Pakistan continue to rumble on, and we, of course, will be across all of the developments as they happen. Moving on now, and the election of Pope